Warning: the following video contains spoilers relating to the content in question. If you do not wish to be spoiled, click out of this video now.
Fallout 4 is the game that I suffered half a year of long sleepless nights waiting for. When it was announced in June, as soon as I could, I pre-ordered it, and I have been eagerly anticipating it ever since. And when it finally came out in November, I played it non-stop for 2 months. In short, Fallout 4 is a fantastic game. It's everything I could have ever hoped for, and a bit more. Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, on the other hand, I heard about, in passing, and it did seem interesting, but I was more than content to wait for Christmas to get it. And even when I did get it for Christmas, I didn't even start playing it until January. So sometime in early or mid-January, I finally decided to pop the Witcher 3 disc into the old PS4 and see what the buzz was all about. By the time I finished the main quest, I was not hesitating to call The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, bar none, the best game I have ever fucking played. I mean, I love Fallout 4. It's a fantastic game. Nothing about that has changed. But Witcher 3 is in a league of its own. And it was released a month before Fallout 4 was even announced. I've been missing out on the best game I've ever played for nearly a year. And going into it, I had no experience with a Witcher game or anything even vaguely Witcher related. I never played the first game on PC, I never played Witcher 2, although I did see a few scenes from it. Hell, I never even knew that the Witcher game series was based on a series of novels until halfway through Witcher 3. And even after Witcher 3, I don't really have that much of a desire to check out those earlier forms of media, I guess. Although, except for maybe the novels. I mean, the game is just that good. Everything from the gameplay, the RPG mechanics, the open world, Gwent anybody? But by far the biggest selling point for me, really with any game, is the story, characters, side quests, etc. The combat system in Witcher 3 is easily the most realistic combat system I've ever played in a fantasy game. Although then again, I've never really played any, games with sword fighting mechanics that I can really compare, Witcher 3's combat system to, aside from Skyrim. So I guess I'll go with that. So, in Skyrim, it's very, very basic sword fighting. You just swing the sword until whatever you're swinging at is dead. Not in Witcher 3, although I did try that at first. I just frickin' spammed the fast attack button, until whatever I was swinging at was dead. Well, it may work in Skyrim, but it sure doesn't work here. In Witcher 3, if you want to survive in the combat, you have to really think tactically. You have to use parrying or a combination of fast attacks, strong attacks. You have to dodge a lot, use the signs, the basic Witcher magic spells, I guess, that wear down your enemies, push them back or whatever. This combat system is very realistic in that it requires tactics. You can't just, go in there and just, fucking swing until it's dead. No, you have to dodge, you have to use signs, you have to use, oils and potions in order to give you a possible edge. Potions, oils, and better gear are like the difference between life and death in this game. And there's plenty of potions to choose from, plenty of oils, and plenty of gear and like swords and armor and shit to choose from. And they can all be crafted through the alchemy and, well, the crafting system, which are pretty great systems. Kind of like some other games like Far Cry or, whatever. You can gather ingredients for potions, and you can gather materials to craft new swords and armor and shit like that. But another little twist is, you also have to find like the recipes, pieces of paper that tell you how to brew the potion, or diagrams to show you how to make the armor. And they can be found anywhere throughout the world, which I actually kind of find a bit of a chore. Like, say, if you want to brew, say, Thunderbolt, then there's a bunch of ingredients you have to find, and you also have to find, the recipe for it. And you could do that by searching the countless undiscovered locations in the world, which, yeah, I find a bit of a chore. But hey, it gives you a good incentive to explore the world. And I also kind of wish that you could craft like swords and armor like on the road or something. Like in the game, you have to find a blacksmith or an armor smith if you want to craft weapons and armor and also repair. Or well, actually, there's little repair kits that you can use to repair your armor, so I guess, disregard that point. But yeah, you have to find a blacksmith or an armor smith in order to craft weapons and armor. And I kind of wish that you could just do that, like, on your own on the road, but then again, there's plenty of armorers and armor smiths, so it's only just, it's not even really a complaint, it's just a minor nitpick. And you can upgrade all of your abilities through the leveling system. But basically, you gain experience points, and then you level up. And every time you level up, you gain one ability point which you can use to upgrade any ability you want. Say you want to upgrade your sword, well then you invest your point into the fast attack tree in order to increase the effectiveness of your fast attacks. And so every time you level up, you gain an ability point that you can put into any tree to improve any skill you want. Although the thing about ability points is, well, you level up, you gain an ability point. But you also gain ability points from drawing from places of power, which are all over the map. Like, they're everywhere. So you could be level 4, and you could upgrade, your skill points with, say, 10 points you gain from places of power. So a very easy way to upgrade your abilities without leveling up. And you could probably, upgrade all of your abilities if you wanted to through leveling up through the rest of the game. Although there is limits to that. On the side of the screen, there's an ability tree where you can have 3 abilities in one, 3 in another, 3 in another, 3 in another. So you can only have 12 abilities at a time, and you activate abilities by putting them in that tree. So I guess you could have all the abilities and then just switch them out. But then again, that would be pretty tiring. So there's still plenty of options to develop your character, and there's still plenty of limits to make sure that, you don't get overpowered. And another thing I like about the leveling system is, for a lot of quests and for a lot of areas in the game, there's a certain level you should be at before taking them. Say there would be a quest that you should only tackle, actually it would actually say suggested level, say level 25, so you should level up to level 25 before taking on that quest. Yeah, and I really like that, because it gives a sense of progression. Like, you find that quest, but find that, you're a bit too weak in order to tackle it, but then once you come back at level 25, then you'll be ready for it. So yeah, it gives a real sense of progression, although it is kind of annoying, like say you're level 4 and you're looking for quests to do, and you say you go into this town and take off the notice board looking for quests, and you're like, okay, let's see what kind of quests we got. Ah, fuck, it's level 25. Okay, well, let's go to this next village, see what's there. Okay, let's see. Ah, fuck, it says level 32. So yeah, a lot of times, like, you're looking for quests, and all the quests you find are, like, way out of your league. But then again, it's always great exploring the world, looking for ways to level up. In fact, it's rewarding enough just exploring the world, because the world of this game is just incredible. Whether it's the war-torn marshes of Velen, or the city of Novigrad, or my personal favorite, the Viking-esque Isles of Skellige. Like, it's just such a great looking world, filled with plenty of interesting things, and filled with undiscovered locations, as I mentioned before, where you could find like new recipes, gear, and maybe even new quests, like treasure hunts. Although when it comes to me and games, a game could have great gameplay or it could have shitty gameplay. It could have great graphics or it could have shitty graphics. I don't really give a shit on either of those fronts as long as the game has a good story. As long as the story is good, and in the case of role-playing games, the side quests are good and the characters are good and everything story-related that matters is good, I don't give a shit about the gameplay or the graphics. And in Witcher 3's case, it has great gameplay, great graphics, and a great story. Now, the story of the game is rather simple. You're playing as Geralt of Rivia, who is looking for his long-lost stepdaughter, Ciri, as she's being hunted by the Wild Hunt, hence the name of the game. This game is just loaded with amazing characters and amazing quests. Like in the beginning of the game, there's a quest that involves a man called the Bloody Baron, and it's probably the quest line that involves him is probably the best one in the entire game. It's the Bloody Baron is a man who's looking for his wife and daughter, and then you find out that he actually abused his wife and daughter, or well, at least abused his wife. And then there's a miscarriage involved, and a fetus monster, which was one of the frickin' saddest moments in the entire game. Who would have thought that a fetus monster would be such a great tool for character development? I mean, the Bloody Baron is a despicable man. He is not a very good person. But, it's moments like that still make you sympathize with him. Despite everything he's ever done, he's still sympathetic thanks to moments like these. And I freaking bawled my eyes out at this part. And there are just a lot of great, bizarre side quests akin to things like that are still great stories in their own right. Hell, I mean, a lot of the side quests are on par with the game itself. There's this one quest where you're just looking for a guy's wife, but then it turns out that she was killed by a werewolf. And then you eventually find out that, the guy who hired you to find his wife is the werewolf that killed his wife, and that, his wife's sister wanted her sister to see him transform, and God, just a lot of these side quests just have, those great twists it starts out simple enough, but then there's like a twist that it makes it just so much more nuanced than you ever thought it was going to be. Even some of the, like, monster contracts, which are like, contracts where basically you just, kill monsters for money. Even though some of them turn out to have great twists. Like, there's one where, like an army wants you to find, like, a monster killing their troops, but then you find out that the monster killing their troops is actually, like, elven rebels. And you could either let them go, or you could kill them to collect the reward. But as great as all that is, by the end of the game, do you know what I was left wanting more of? I mean, with all the monster contracts and all the great side quests and, after everything in the game, do you know what I was left wanting more of? More moments between Geralt and Ciri. I mean, the father-daughter relationship between the main character Geralt and Ciri is just... It was by far the most endearing thing about the game to me. Like, and most of the game is about finding her. And as the more you learn about their relationship, like, before Witcher 3 even happened, like, the more anxious you are to, finally find them and see them share a moment together. And when they do finally find each other, like, it leads to probably one of the most beautiful moments, if not the most beautiful moment I've ever seen in gaming. I mean, this scene is just... It's a masterpiece. Like, from the music to the animation, like, holy fuck, like, how did the developers get so much emotion out of these animated characters? Like, it's incredible. Like, from Geralt just being so scared to open the door, to turning over Ciri's body, and then the crushed, devastated look on his face. And the thing is, before this, like, Geralt is kind of, emotionless. Well, not emotionless, he's still funny as shit and he can still show emotion, but we've never seen him react like this before. Like, Ciri is the only character that can get that kind of emotional reaction out of him. And then when it turns out Ciri is actually alive, and when they share that hug and then that flashback scene, just... Oh god, like, it's just such a beautiful moment, and they could have ended the game here and I would have been satisfied. But it's still great that we got to see more of them together, because those were just the best frickin' moments in the game for me. And this part of the story is what frickin' made the game for me. Like, when I finished the game, and when all the characters you meet throughout the game, like Ciri or Yennefer, Triss, just vanish from the world, it just felt so empty. Like, I didn't even want to go on playing after I finished the game. So I went right back to the beginning and made another playthrough. Because this is a game that warrants 2 playthroughs. Especially if you want to see the consequences of different decisions you made. And also, the Hearts of Stone DLC is also really good. It adds a new feature, enchanting I think it was, which actually I haven't really tried yet. So I'm not really sure what it does, so I can't really comment on it. But, like, the new story and the new side quests they introduce are just as great as the ones in the main game. As a matter of fact, the main story of the Hearts of Stone is just as good as the main quest for, well, the main game. And actually, it might even be better. Because it had a great antagonist in, like, the mysterious Gontaro Dim. Like, the Wild Hunt were kind of the weak points of the story, but then again, it wasn't really about them. It was more about Geralt and Ciri. But in Hearts of Stone, like, they introduce an incredible villain in, like, Gontaro Dim, and they also managed to craft a story that is just as compelling and just as good as the main story. Seriously, with a game this good under their belts, I'd be really disappointed if the developers didn't make a Witcher 4. And hopefully, if they do, Ciri will be the main protagonist in the game. If that happens, I'm all in. Literally and figuratively. And as I anxiously await for the Blood and Wine DLC, I will continue to enjoy the single greatest game I've ever played in my life. Thank you, CD Projekt Red, for a truly amazing experience.
If you agree or disagree with this video, be sure to discuss in the comments section, and if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also be sure to check out my blog at The Critical Canucks at blogspot.ca, and also be sure to follow us on Twitter, Tumblr, and Facebook, all that jazz. Links to all those are in the description below. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll be seeing you next time. Peace out, everybody.